Hello. So, today we will continue on the troll, and yeah, nothing too complex. So, before I will explain to you why I ended up with this one and now I have this one, uh, I will just gently ask you to subscribe or like or comment or whatever. I discovered like comments are necessary for the YouTube to like the video, so yeah, it will help. So, long story short, last time I finished with this one, I was pretty happy with it, and I felt it's okay. It looks nice, it looks interesting. It kinda maybe does not look like a source reference, but I liked it, and I sent it to get a critique from a friend of mine, to Nikakuna, and he said that it looks nice, but the pose is kinda like odd, and it will be nice to show the lats of this character. So basically all the muscles like in here, like all the like huge proportions and the wide arms and everything. And I was kinda like thinking, like he has a point. It looks a little bit odd. And he sent me this reference like of this like massive guy just walking, and I felt like this like football player, this American football player, basically like is a walking tank, and they are throwing balls, and like I mean this rugby ball, this fancy ball, and he's holding a helmet, and the pose is a little bit more dynamic, so it's not boring. It's a little bit just engaging, I think, and it just looks more interesting, I would say, and it shows the character a little bit better because now he is like roaming around and just like looking to the side, and you can really see he's like really massive and heavy and everything, so it does make sense. So I just like not scraped this idea but kept with this idea, and I thought about giving him like a normal rock, so he will be holding it like this, but this pose did not really felt right for this type of a position. So if I were to make a quick mock-up, if I just like grab this arm, so let's say I will copy it and I will like paste it in here, so more or less, is this layer? Yes, more or less you could see how it's looking. Well, I will add a mask. So I felt this pose does not look that good, but now when I'm looking at it, it kind of looks okay-ish. So maybe I will just stick with it, since like the rotation of an arm is like okay, and it is a little bit more similar to this one. So now I'm wondering, because I kind of like the idea that he's like walking with this type of a rock that has like a rope around it with some spikes and whatnot. So definitely less for destroying buildings, definitely better for destroying like regular folks. If you throw something like this onto them, they will get crushed and torn apart. This one is a little bit simpler, but now I kind of feel I like this one. I guess I will go with this one. If needed, I will just go back at some point, and yeah, I will make a copy. Whoop. I will make a copy for this one. Whoop. Red backup, and yeah, let me turn off the backup. Let me turn on this one. And here is the sketch, so let me just remove the sketch. So you can see how quickly I changed my mind. It looks fine now. And this arm needs to go here, and I need to connect those two, and I need to grab the color, lock the layer, and recolor the arm. And recently I started to notice again, like this is nothing new for me, but I kind of forgot about it. I kind of enjoy drawing a little bit more when I am using color instead of like a pure black, because in pure black I have this notion that the thing that I'm doing feels like it needs to be complete after like first shot, so it kind of does not feel like a sketch for me. And recently when I started again like drawing with like colors. So basically with this like brown, reddish something, basically with like a darker color. Then it looks nice. So yeah. Who wrote Ink Pen Dude? Yeah, hello. I do not see the message on a multi-stream, so I will need to look at the screen. So hello, Ink Pen Dude. But yeah, but basically this is the idea. And the cool part about it is the fact that this rotation kind of fits to this rotation, so I don't have to redraw it, and the weight on this character still fits. So the fact that he is like a little bit tilted to the side kind of fits, and yeah, and I can do something like this. And I grabbed a reference, I found this guy. So basically if I want to make this one a little bit more better for this reference, I will do just something like this, because it basically gives me the idea for like a little bit more like chunky legs. So yeah, this is like a shortcut you can take to make the drawing better and make the drawing easier, definitely to make it easier. So yeah, this is how I usually approach this type of stuff. And since this pose is like, I would say, kind of casual in a sense, it's really easy to find something like this in real life. Finding a reference was not like, I mean, the pose is not really specific. Finding a reference was also like typing something along the lines of person walking, and it found the reference in Google Images. And it is kind of informative because it shows me how the heel behaves in a space and how the toes, I believe, how the toes rotate. So now I can see the toes in my case are not rotating correctly, and I can rotate them a little bit more correctly. So basically I can just make them go a little bit more to the side. And also now I see, accidentally I connected the line work with the underline. I don't really care that much, because I will be doing most likely another pass over everything that I do have in here. So yeah. And as always, if you can use references, just use references. It will just make your life like 10 times easier, because you don't have to know how everything looks like, and it's pretty much impossible for you to know how everything looks like. So just for the sake of sanity, of like keeping yourself sane, just use references. And if you can't find a proper reference, just take a photo of yourself. This is also a valid technique. A lot of people forget that they can photograph themselves. So yeah. And because the troll only has like 3 toes, I believe, on his leg, I kinda want him to have the toes a little bit more separated. And also a really cool thing I just noticed is the fact that this guy is wearing a bands around his like ankles, which is really nice to help with the reference to like orient everything in the space. So every single time that from now on, when I will be taking some references for the like hands or arms, I will be wearing a headband around my wrist. I usually do, but yeah, not today. I lost my headband and I only have the old one on my head. So yeah, but I guess you can see the point. And yeah, this is pretty much all from like the technical things that I wanted to say. So as always, if anyone has any questions or whatsoever, or if you would like, if you would like me to like watch your artwork or whatever, to paint over it, or to give you like a critique, or to cover a certain topic, even if I already spoke about it, I will be happy to like repeat myself. Feel free to write in the chat. Links, I believe, on Twitch, as always. I don't remember if anyone has tried to send a link to YouTube to like image link, so I don't think they will be working. But yeah, and yeah, and hopefully today I will start rendering this fella. So this is like a plan for today. I was kind of thinking maybe I will try to bring the line art much further, but I kind of feel that painting him will be a little bit more beneficial. And also for the things, if you can like not make like small triangles like in here, just remove a little bit of a cloth so the shape will be a little bit more interesting. I will avoid making unnecessarily small shapes, and yeah, it will be a bit cooler, I do believe. And I also see now this leg is a little bit too thick. I want the calf to be a bit thicker. And should this leg go more like this? There is this like fancy line that I usually tend to notice. Hello Mibler, that goes like here. I do believe this is like a tendon, but it basically makes like a toe, and then you have like the rest of a foot in here, and then this stuff happens. So this is like usually a nice mark for me to look for when I am drawing or painting or doing whatever. So yeah, I feel it is a good thing. And the thing that I always forget is the ankle in the inside, like in the inner part of a leg is higher than the one outside. I always forget about it. So yeah, and I do believe this leg is still a little bit too thick. And I kind of feel this entire feet look a bit odd. So I will just try to fix it. Maybe most likely I will fix it while painting, because sometimes it's a bit harder to see what is going on when you are drawing. And I want to move this here and this here, so it won't be as long, and the curvature will be a little bit nicer, and a calf can be much bigger. I also kind of started experimenting again with all the brushes and everything. Hello, Mikołaj. And I found this square is really nice for drawing, especially with flow set to like 70. It's just a nice brush. I forget that I enjoy drawing with like square brushes, so it's a nice... Hello, Angie Donner. It's a nice change of pace. So yeah, because previously I was experimenting with brushes like this, and brushes like this. This one is not square, it's like more like a rectangle. And with brushes like this one is cool. It's cool when it's small, but it's a little bit more like inking. And I kind of found that I really like a square. It's just like really simple and just has a nice quality to it. So I'm drawing with a square now. It is cool. And yeah, I need to fix a little bit more of this leg. And also it kind of reminds me of the style that Taran Fiddler draws in, so it definitely checks into the things that I want to kind of get better at. Like drawing like Taran is definitely one of the things that I would like to be able to do, because he is really good with muscled, like really muscular characters. So I will be trying to do the things as he does. And also Taran Fiddler has a YouTube channel, Taran Fiddler, I believe. So go there and just subscribe to his channel, because there are a lot of cool videos and it's a good content. I have been really enjoying it. And also this is like one of the reasons that I started watching him on Instagram, because he was sharing a lot of the process videos, that like the way he paints. And in my opinion, if you are watching how someone is painting, like even now as you do in here, hello Furiat, I do believe sometimes it's even more beneficial to learn how to paint or how to do something than actually drawing, because you can like observe and just see different approaches. Because of course you can do a lot on your own, but you can't like figure out everything on your own, which basically means that watching someone do something will just help you somehow. Of course then you have to practice, but But yeah, but it is a good first step to start practicing. And yeah, there are some like folds. This is also like a nice added thing, like all the folds and everything. About the arm, I'm absolutely not convinced it is like proper. And the fingers need to be much thicker, because I decided that this character will have 4 fingers instead of 5 as previously. So I need to move the lines. So he will hold the rock with 3 fingers. So yeah. And also to anyone watching, if you can, just comment on the video. And why everyone has the same color for the nickname. Well, no, it's not in here. Background color, no. Yes. Oh, maybe it's the fact that everyone is text color. Yeah, that's the fact that everyone is on YouTube, I believe. I don't know. So everyone on YouTube will have the same color for the messages then. Yeah, and the thing to figure out in here will be the biceps. So the bicep a bit more roundy, the bicep in here also a bit more roundy, and this thing in here a bit more massive, so a little bit more tricep, and a little bit more happening in here. And previously, I kind of had some problems with this area, with like how the bicep will connect to the chest, and I was kind of forgetting about the fact that the deltoid kind of like goes in this like S type of a shape. Oh, the new thing worked. The sound did not work, but the GIF worked. So, oh, right. Thanks for subscribing or for following. Yeah, good to know it works. So yeah, basically this area was giving me some troubles. I completely forgot about this S curvature. It's not really visible in here, but it is visible in here, and I kind of prefer it like to be this way. Also on this guy, it's really cool to see like the fat tissue kind of forming this like beard type of a shape. Like everyone drew a beard like this back in the day, so this shape in here I definitely kind of want to have. It was kind of giving me some, I kind of forgot about it, so it will make the connection of this upper area to this lower area a bit nicer. So something is not right in here. I feel like doing something like this. This is not solving any problem. So the basic idea is from the top, this leg is doing something like this. So in perspective, it should do something like this. And one part will go a bit higher, and one part will go a bit to like the side. So this is basically a shape I am looking for. I have this, but I did not have that. Most likely I will adjust it like several times before I start doing anything for it with it, or I will simply like repaint it 10 times, and then I will decide if it's okay or if it's not. Or maybe if I will move the fingers. No. Let me try to warp it. The problem with drawing feet is even if you draw them properly, they do look not proper. The feet are just weird. Like the geometry of feet is just odd. And I kind of want my character to go like this, so he's like kind of walking like this. In this case, this guy is like going like this, but the second leg is It's kind of doing like something like this. I kind of want mine to be a little bit more like on this primitive side of walking. Maybe this is actually a good way to approach it. Yeah, let me try to redraw it completely from scratch, because it will bother the shit out of me. So it goes like this, and then the toe. Also, the thing is, like, I have a bit of a different perspective than this guy has. Like, in here, I imagine the perspective, like the horizon line to be somewhere in here or in here. Mine is a bit lower, like around this area, because I kind of want this character to be a little bit bigger. So I lowered the horizon line. So I can't really like follow the positioning and everything, like one-to-one. But I do feel this setup is a bit nicer. But yeah, this is one of the things where like the inability to draw something really shines, where you can see that I clearly lack experience with drawing feet. And yeah, this is how you can nail down easily your problems. You try to draw something, you discover that you are absolute shit in drawing the thing that you wanted to draw, and then you take like a mental note or like a physical note in the shape of a sketch, and you either practice it or you moan about it that you can't do it. So it's for you to decide which path you will take. Usually I moan on the first time and bitch about it that I can't do something, and then I practice it. And then I bitch about that I still can't do it, and the vicious circle continues. So yeah. And at some point I just managed to like somehow lucky to get the effect in a way that kinda looks okay-ish for me. Kinda want him to have a little bit more mass in here. I feel like this shape is a bit needed, like this type of a shape in here for the leg to be nicely supported. But yeah, it looks okay-ish. So I do believe I might start shading, or to at least block out the main shape and then redo the line art, because I kind of feel the general characteristics of this fella are like already in. So yeah, I kind of like the fact that you can still see a bit of like the abdominal like muscles, like the fat, even though it covers the abdominal wall, it still kind of is shaped like the abdominal muscles. So I might give some of them in here, like just some lines, and yeah, and soft tissue on the chest. So stuff like this, how I usually will approach it is to create a new layer underneath everything. I will grab like a darker gray or whatever, or maybe not a darker gray, but somewhere around like 50%, unless the background is 50%, it's not. Turn off the opacity on a brush, so you can see it like in here, there's this icon to turn off the opacity. So if you press it, then the opacity is in. If you press it, then the opacity is no longer in here, unless in a brush you have selected a transfer. So if there is a transfer in a brush, you can click on this how many times you want. The brush will always have like the opacity pressure, the pressure thing. So turn off the transfer, turn off the thing. Do you often go back to basics like some form studies, rotating simple objects? I used to, mainly when I was teaching. I was doing it basically every single week for like 7 years. But the problem is I was not doing more complex things because the students I were teaching were mostly learning basics for the entire year. So I was not really like flexing hard the skills that much. So this way I am really good at rotating and drawing basic shapes, but I kind of feel I'm lacking a bit in more complex shapes. I mean, the general idea is exactly the same. It's just like making something more complex. So now I try to do like, I kind of treated this like some sort of a, I treat this like a study. So in here I study not only like the forms, but the geometry and anatomy and everything. So for example, when I draw a forearm, I don't draw like a forearm, but I try to think about it like drawing a cylinder in a certain position with like a change of shape and ellipse angles and everything. So I kind of treat this like a little bit more complex studies. And Rockcraft, yeah, of course. You can send me the image and let me open it. And let me see it. Let me paste it, yep. Let me go with it on the top. It's almost the same shade of gray, nice. Yeah, for the line art, it looks okay-ish. It is a bit wobbly here and there, especially in the like arms area. It kind of feels like the hand is connecting to like the middle of a forearm. In areas like this, just try to simplify it. Just go with the gesture first, and then just add like the shoulder muscle, like the deltoids, then add a bicep, then add like a brachioradialis, then add like a tricep tendon and add a tricep. So you can build off the gesture, and in here you can see a bone. The bone connects to the pinky basically, so like from here to here, and then there's a bit of a meat in here, and yeah, and then you go to the forearm. So this is this, and yeah, the same with arms. In here it kind of looks like you try to draw the entire arm like a tube like this, while in reality it should be like tube like this. Whoops. Let me cover this part. And then in here you have like a horizontal tube, then you will see the tube from the front, and it goes like this. So basically the angles change because from the side it's something like this. So yeah, and a good thing to do is to make a thicker line below. So if the light is from the top, the lines that are thicker should be from below or in the place of contact. So where there's more geometry, it should just go darker. It will generally make it easier. They are hard, but they are usually hard because we tend to overthink them. I'm guilty of overthinking them, but in reality, arms are extremely easy because the arm is absolutely nothing more than, as I said, like a cylinder. This is basically like the arm. Then you have like a bone, and the bone is basically like a hinge, so you can like move your arm like this basically. And then you have like a forearm. It's a bit longer, but to get a general idea. And the most complex things in forearm are the bones. So basically, to not lie, but if you see the top part of your arm, then the bones do something like this, and then you like you have the thumb inside, and when you see the like the inner part of your arm, then the bones, well, then the bones do something like this. This bone goes like this. So yeah, then you get like this X type of a shape, and then it's just learning the muscles. It's a lot of muscles because I do believe it's like 22 muscles in the forearm, and 2, 5, 6 muscles in the arm, not counting deltoids. So it might get complex, but in the end it's all just cylinders and boxes. That's pretty much all. So just try drawing boxes and cylinders and you will get better at it. It's easier to be said than done, I know, because I still struggle with drawing hands. But the best thing is get the general understanding of what is going on and then use a photo reference, because still the hand is so complex, like there's so much things going on, they are so subtle, like with stuff like you do this and everything like stretches, you do this, something compresses, you get like weird line or whatever. It's just easier to use a reference. Of course, not for every single style, but if you are going to make something a little bit more realistic, a little bit more exaggerated, then I do believe not using references will only like make it harder, unnecessarily harder for you. So yeah. That's the same story as with feet, but just because they are like simple shapes combined together into more complex shape that also can move, then it gets a bit problematic, because like every single like toe is a bit different in a shape, like the way they are shaped. With fingers, basically only thumb is different. So if you will be able to draw something like this, let's say like this, and a joint like this, and a joint and like this, you basically can draw a finger if you multiply this 4 times and add like a box, because like the hand is basically like a box, the palm, then yeah. So yeah. Oh, I might leave it. Yeah, I mean, the anatomy is like a never-ending story. Everyone will approach it a bit differently. Like after drawing for a really long period of time, someone will discover like their own way to approach it. Someone who would like to like draw all their characters with like a short tendons and long muscles. Some other person would prefer to draw a long, like short muscles and long tendons. That really depends. And every single people accents the muscles slightly different. So yeah. The shading is a little bit more complex, so let me just explain it on this guy, because this is a little bit more things going on at the same time that I'm trying to process and not to get lost in it. But the basic idea is, when I'm drawing this guy, I want to know from where I have my light source. This is the most important thing, so I can just like do this. I want it to be from the left, from the top, and slightly from the front of the character. So if the character from the side, let's say, would go kind of like this. So he has like his thing and the leg. The other leg in the back. So if he's going kind of like this, so this is like a side view, I know if the light goes from here, make it on the new layer, it basically means the light will like touch this area, will touch this area, will touch this area. The bicep will basically be perpendicular to the light source, so it won't be really lit. The traps will be lit, the thigh will be lit, this part won't be lit, the feet will be lit, this part will be lit, a bit of a stomach will be lit, and then these things will be like in the shadow. This will be in the shadow, this area will be in the shadow, this will be in the shadow. So I'm basically trying to think what is lit, what is not lit. And basically all this is happening like inside my head. So of course there is no like perfect way you could construct all this, but this will be way too complex to like manage it properly. I might actually add boxes to the chat or make the chat a bit smaller. It's kind of huge. I must make like a dedicated window for the chat because it's really hard to read. Or I will go to the full screen mode. Yeah, something like this is a bit better. Yeah, so basically something like this happens, and then I just try to like note that, for example, let's say the teeth will drop a shadow in here, that the stomach will drop some shadow on the leg, that the chin will drop some shadow like in this area. And also the general idea is, if you know what is your light source, so for example, let's say we have like a plane, I mean like a surface, and then you have like a stick, and then you decide on a direction of the light. So basically you decide if the shadow goes like this or like this or like this. It's basically like the direction of the light, so from where the light shines from. And then you decide on the angle of the light. So you decide if it's yellow is not really a good color, so let's select blue. You decide if the light is from the top or like horizontally almost, so you get like a sunset or a morning. So let's say it's from the top, and then this is basically like a shadow for this thing. And if there will be like a cylinder in here, something like this, it will basically mean that this cross section is in here, the light will like hit in here, what basically means this will be in light for the cylinder. This will be in the shadow because it's like not lit. And the further away we go from this point, the darker it will be because it's less lit. And in here you will get like a bounce light, so basically light hits the ground, it bounces off the ground and makes the thing slightly brighter from the bottom, from the below. But the general idea is the reflected light can never be brighter than like a main source light. So yeah, this is basically the thing that I'm going. I mean, it is complex, but it is much easier than you would expect. It's basically like if you can shade a cylinder properly, like 99% of the things in the organic drawings are cylinders, like a vast majority of them. So it will be good after some time. So in here I basically try to like map everything together. So let's say this is like a line art. I will make it slightly, let me first make it more uniform. So I will make it black, and then I will make it slightly brighter, and I will colorize it so it will have like a hue. Because I'm going for like a purple guy, the line art might be purple, it makes a bit of a sense for it to be slightly purple. So yeah, so now I can like map my shadows. Let me also remove the shadows from here so I won't get like distracted by them. So if the shadow is from like the top part, then I can make like an educated guess, and I will turn off the opacity. I mean, I will turn off the pressure and lower the opacity, so everything that I draw is still slightly transparent. So I can see this area most likely is in a shadow. Most likely something in here is like casting a small shadow on this teeth. The bicep is casting a shadow in here on a lat. Most likely the rock or a forearm is slightly casting a shadow in here. Finger is definitely casting a shadow on a rock. These fingers are not lit by a light source, they are like in a shadow. The rock also in parts is in the shadows. And I'm mapping only like a hard shadow, so everything that is like a cast shadow. I can imagine the nose, like the bottom of a nose, to be in a shadow. The eye socket, the eyebrow, is casting a shadow on a face because it's like a concave type of a shape. The nose is casting a shadow on a face, and because the light is going from the left to the right, the shadow will go, I believe, something like this, more or less. The lip is casting some shadow. Basically the entire like folds under his face are casting some shadows. Maybe something on a cheek is casting a shadow, but this is for me to decide later. Hair are casting a bit of the shadows. The entire head would cast some shadow on like a chest area, so there will be a shadow in here. The ear, basically the entire head is casting a shadow. And the general idea is if something is casting a shadow on something, the shadow will have like a sharp line, depending of course on the size of a light source. Hello, Mortals Champion. All is good, all is fine, thanks for asking. I hope the same is for you. But if the geometry just stops being lit, so for example in here nothing is casting this shadow, it just like gradually is getting lit less by less, then where is my brush for smudging? Then, whoa, smudge. Wait, is this a painting brush? Yes, where is my smudgy brush? This is not my smudgy brush. I had a really nice smudging brush, but oh, this is this one, I believe, yeah. So in here, 100%. So in here, since the surface is like gradually less and less lit, the shadow will be softer because it's just getting less and less light, so it goes softer. So yeah, no, in this case these are the cast shadows. So basically if something is casting a shadow on something else, the ambient occlusion shadows are basically the closer the geometry is to each other, then it will darken the geometry. It does not really, like as far as I know, the ambient occlusion is not really existing in real life. It's just a way that the computers are simulating some physical stuff that is happening in real life. As far as I know, it must be checked. I'm not sure about it, but the general idea is like in some places where it's harder for light to bounce, it will simply get darker. It will always be like a soft shape. So in here, for example, the armpit, like the geometry is close to each other, and it will make the light have problems to bounce. So yeah, something like this. And a rock will cast a shadow in here. We have some, your brushes are somewhere. No, they are not. And the main reason is because 99% of them I got off the internet. And I actually will be making a video about brushes, like how to get them and how to make your custom brushes this week, most likely. So yeah, stay tuned for the video or whatever. But I will be doing this type of a thing soon, because I wanted, like, I got several requests for a video like this for like a longer period of time, and I finally felt like, why not? Maybe I should. Sekimichan with the rotten airbrush. Yeah, it's all fine. Like, my general approach with brushes is they are like tool. So if you in real life have to do something, let's say, I don't know, with like whatever, and you need to use some tools, like would you rather use cheap ass tools that are just like not fun to use, or you would like to use tools that are like really good and really nice to use? So yeah, the same idea in my opinion goes with brushes. Just use the ones that you feel are nice. If you enjoy working with circle, all fine. If you don't enjoy working with circle, then just don't use it. Maybe one day you will start enjoying it, but I will never say that use circle or you will be doomed. It does not work like this. Like, of course, there are some valid things to do with a circle. It is a good brush if you know how to use it, but this is like basically true for every single brush. If you know how to use it, then this is a good brush. And if you know how to paint, then it completely does not matter for you what type of a brush you will be using. So yeah. Yeah, basically it's just shading forms with a flavor. And of course later, because first I tried to make the shapes like simple, but later I tried to make them a little bit more complex. And for areas like this, it's really cool to know what is your angle. Oh, that's absolutely depends on a person. Honestly, for me, sometimes the brush, like the texture is absolutely impossible to control, and sometimes the circle is absolutely impossible to control. It really depends. There is no like one answer to it. But going back to this one, if you know that the rock, for example, is in here, and that I have like my knee and my leg in here and the feet in here, something like this, and I know my angle, I can like just basically draw a line. This is like a line of an angle of a light source. And now I know this rock basically casts the shadow to this area. And in this case, this will be like somewhere in here. So most likely a knee will get a touch of light, like somewhere in here, which I do believe just looks nice because it brings a little bit more dimension to it. And then the rest of the leg, yeah, basically gets zero light because the light goes in here, and basically the knee area and the calf area is casting a shadow in here, and then I get this shape in here. So in the end it's really a simple process, but yeah, stuff like this just make the entire thing a bit nicer. And then you can add, of course, like a reflected light and yada yada and everything, and it will be nice. But yeah, this is the general thing. And for the brushes, harder to control. It really depends, because I'm not really good with like brush efficiency, I would say. So I'm not the type of a guy that will be like sitting 5 minutes and doing this. Well, doing like this and being like, yeah, this is a good brush stroke, or like selecting 10 brushes and after like an hour doing like this and saying, yeah, this is a good thing. In this case, I'm a little bit more impatient, so most likely I will be going with like this and like this and like this, and just like rendering the shit out of everything. It's not the best approach, but it's the one that works for me currently. At some point I would love to learn a bit more about the brush control, so it just depends on the way you like to work. I like to work a little bit more chaotic. Yeah, the funny thing is I absolutely do not control it. The creeper artwork was like purely inspired by Daniel Peacock, and I was like just heavily referencing the way he is working. And since the style it is made in, like this photographic photo type of a thing, I would say it's a bit easier to render, or at least it's a bit easier to process it in my brain. I kind of feel it's more direct. So you basically, if something is in front of you, you make it brighter. If something is not in front of you, you make it darker. So you basically do this, but adjust it to like the front of your vision. So I would say if I, let me make a sphere, if I have two spheres and in one I have to do something like this. So like the closer I am to the center, the brighter it gets. And then I add like a rim light or whatever. It's much easier, and this part will be brighter. It's much easier to process, in my opinion, than doing something like this. So deciding where the core shadow is, going like darker with the mid-tones, adding like a highlight in here, and then adding like a rim light, and then adding like a bounce light. I just feel drawing with this like I made a photo type of a thing is slightly easier, but it might be just me. It might not be a case for everyone, but I would say this one is a little bit less complex in terms of shading. And I really do like this style also, so I'm not bashing it, I'm not saying it sucks. I just feel it's a bit easier. Also a nice trick for everyone, if you are like drawing like this and you will grab a color, let me go to a full screen. So if you on top with the eye picker have in here all layers, then you will just grab this gray, and when you will paint it will be much paler because the opacity on the layer is reduced. So if you want to pick this color, just select in here current layer and it will choose black, as you can see, and then you can continue painting. So if I will choose like a red, you can clearly see it's not a pure red, but it will select as a pure red in opposition to all layers to doing this when it's like dirty. So yeah, it's a hefty trick. Yeah. And also in here, when you are doing those shadows type of things, you can decide what type of a graphic read you want to achieve in your artworks, because now what I would say what I am doing is like kind of a graphic design type of a thing when I'm trying to like design interesting shadows for this character. So yeah, if the shadows will be interesting, then there's a higher probability the entire thing would read much better. And I usually suggest to figure out the shadow first, then you will add a light, and then you will just add all the midtones and transitions and the different values and everything. Because for example, the rock will be naturally darker, or the trousers will be naturally darker. So yeah. And sometimes of course you will like lie with the shape, so not necessarily this knee will be like lit like this, but I just feel a bit of lighting here is just needed to like bring it out, to showcase the thing. And in here you can see nicely how the form kind of unfolds. So yeah, it works with everything. So if I make a new layer and I go with like an orange stripe, going like this, and I will set it to like overlay. If I have set everything on all layers, as you can see, I will grab all the spectrum throughout everything. If I go to current layer, it will only take the orange thing across the everything. And even if I press outside of it, even though there's like nothing there, it will assume that I want to pick the color from this layer. So it is a really nice thing. Oh no, I definitely won't finish it today. I do expect each character to take me like 3 or 4 streams, because I kind of want to render them a bit nicer. I'm not really in a hurry to finish anything, so I kind of want to take my time with them, and I just kind of want to make them like a presentable type of a piece, because before I will start like really heavily rendering this guy, I mean the colors and deciding on the color temperature and everything, I want to make a painting of a background, or at least like a mock-up for a background. So I will place all them on like a mock-up environment, because I do believe painting without the context of environment is unnecessarily hard. Because for example, in the environment, I can have like golden acres around me, and they will like reflect gold light. So let me find the reference. And also for this one, I definitely want to go with a render style of, maybe not a render style, but yeah, basically this is like the environment also that I will be doing more or less. And I will be keeping this as a reference later, but I might import it in here. So yeah, this is the quality that I would like to achieve. I have no idea if I will like be even close to it, but I will try. So let me write who did it. Is Un Li on AS. So yeah, the thing is, for example, in here, you can see on the fingers, there is a bit of this color like reflecting in here. The shadows are a little bit bluish, because like the main light source, like the sky dome, is blue. So yeah, the stuff like this really bring out everything. In here you can see how like this color is like reflecting in here, in this area, and how the blues are interacting with the armor in the shadow area, especially like in here. So you have like a dark reflection out of the shadow, bright reflection out of the sun and bright blue reflection from the sky. So yeah, I'm going for this, and especially the environment. It's basically what I want to achieve, because the Jeden Barbarian City, because the city I am painting right now is this one. So yeah, you can see a lot of gold and a lot of blue. So it will be a crime to not use this as a reference. But what I will need to figure out is how to make this guy purple, because painting blue skin is hard, painting purple skin is even harder, as far as I can imagine. So this will be a solid mission to go through. So I have not the slightest clue how it will turn out, but I will do my best. And also this is like a beautiful reference, especially also on the chin. You can see the light reflecting from like the hand and the chest area, like the light bouncing off the chest, just lighting up the thing from the below. And also the cool thing is you can see how the brush strokes work. It basically looks like everything is like painted with like a circle, especially on the armor. It might not be, but it looks like it is. So I just really like the style Unli is working in. Like this type of a render is neat, in my opinion. And this bicep, this entire bicep is in a shadow because, for example, even though the sky is high, so as you can see, like you have the, even if the bicep will be like this, like let's say slightly forward, and the light normally would like lit it, if you have like an armor that is like going forward, and it does in here, this basically makes the entire thing to be covered in shadow, because this small thing is casting the shadow on the entire arm. So yeah, this is the things that you really need to think about. And also this is why I do believe painting is really exhausting, because even though I'm not like consciously thinking about all this, like I do when I talk about it, but I do it like kind of subconsciously. So, and of course, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the simpler it gets, and the faster you do it. But since I only have like my experience available, it might get tiring after a while. So yeah. So this is like this. And again, the shapes that are just changing the geometry, that are not like, they do not have like a cast shadow on them, I will just make them softer. So this areas. Sometimes, of course, the cast shadow can be softer, but again, it depends on the light source. If the light source is like really sharp, then the shadow will be sharp. If the light source is extremely like big and soft, so you have like a soft box or whatever, then the shadows will be soft. It's also worth to know a bit about photography, especially on the like the types of lights, all the soft boxes, yada yada and stuff, because this will kinda explain to you how certain things react, like how photographs react to different light scenarios. So yeah. Some does go like this. You can even see the sharp shadow on this area. It's like a really sharp shadow from the head, and a soft transition on the arm. This is actually a perfect reference for the entire city. I will like reference the shit out of it. And again, this is completely fine in my opinion. Like, if someone already solved the problem that I have, why shouldn't I like use someone else's experience to solve my own problems? This is a thing. Like, in art, you don't really have to like solve everything by yourself. You can use an experience of others to serve you well. I do believe this bicep will like cast some shadow in it. I also think that if he is like if you're walking the left, this arm will be going. Should this arm be going back? No, the left leg is behind, so this arm will be in the front. So okay, it is lit. It should be lit. So yeah. And later, of course, on top of that, all the textures and everything. Yeah, and for the values in control, if you go to a black and white mode, you can clearly see that some areas are just darker because the material is different. So, for example, the skull is much brighter than jeans, than the leg material, because just the material is darker. The red thing is darker than the leather, not the jeans. Yeah, so the values are also a thing that you should consider. And for example, you just do it by making a new layer, painting the trousers, and just lowering the opacity, so it will naturally lower the value of the entire thing. And this dude unfortunately has like a green pants. I don't know why, don't ask me, but I do believe I will make them like leather green. I do like to work from values to color. I don't really like working from like straight in color. It's just nah. It's not really my. Yeah, there are, but I mean, they don't necessarily look really good together. Like it will be hard to choose a tone, a purplish tone for this guy. So animal. Is there an animal with a purple skin? There is none. There are frogs and stuff like this, but there is a guy who has some sort of a illness, and it basically makes him contain silver in his organism, or iron. I believe it was silver, and he basically has like this purple hue of a skin. So I kind of want to go with something like this, maybe like this. Let's say so. Let me just select the face. I want to kind of want to go with this type of a hue. So it's like purple-ish something thing. Oh yeah, everything on. Yeah, I missed this question. Sorry. Everything is under NDA, and the Black Knight that I wanted to post, I want to animate it at some point, and I have a program to do it, but I just like can't. I don't know. I just can't sit and just do it. I like do other things, like doing new illustrations and everything. So yeah, and work stuff, of course. So yeah, most likely for the work I will be able to post stuff from work. I don't know, in like 4 or 5 months, but to this time I will try to do some personal work also. Yeah, and the hair will be darker. So yeah. Yep, I was playing Dark Souls recently, Dark Souls 3. I decided to go through them as a sorcerer because I never did it properly. But in the meanwhile, I decided to play Cyberpunk again. And I sunk into Cyberpunk again. And now I am like cyberpunking again. And I still think this game is good. It's great. I love the story. I made some different choices in the game, and it is cool. So yeah, I'm stuck with Cyberpunk at the moment, which is also kind of funny because the PC, I wouldn't touch Cyberpunk on PS4. Like, there's no way I would even consider touching it after seeing how it was working and how it was looking. So yeah. But what I wanted to say, and also given the fact that the music from Cyberpunk is like basically top notch, it's like it rings all the bells in my head. Like everything in this music in the OST is cool, and the samurai band is cool, and everything is cool. And my Spotify told me for this entire year the most listened track, like band, is Samurai and the music from Cyberpunk and Rammstein, I believe, or ICS Vortex. So it was basically the entire year of music from Cyberpunk for me. And it told me I have listened Never Fade Away from Samurai around 1000 times or something like this. Uh, Honestly, with the failure, like I wouldn't say it was a failure. Like it made fuckload of money, and they made fuckload of money, and it was just the marketing team kind of pumped it too much, and they released it too soon. I don't really remember like Polish. Like it was like in Poland, it's really hard to please everyone. Like everyone will always moan at something, no matter how much you will work on it or how much you will flex to do something. Always someone will just hate whatever you are doing. This is like just the nature of like Polish people. It's like it is in our blood to be like this, just completely normal. So even if they would like release and it will be like a huge success, still someone will like bitch about it. But yeah, German band. I like German bands. Let me see. I won't play it, but I will only see a title. Oh, Eskimo Cowboy, yeah. I was listening it yesterday to go to sleep. Actually, yeah, Eskimo Cowboy is cool. I was not really convinced to them at the beginning, but after like giving it like a second and a third try, I was like, fuck yeah, Eskimo Cowboy. And a friend of mine is a huge fan, so yesterday I saw like, oh, they released a new track. It's time to listen to it or to sleep because I have to wake up early. And I decided to listen to it, and I barely woke up. So yeah, yeah, it's fun. I like bands that are just fun. For me, they are in the same group as Necrogoblicon. Necrogoblicon. It's a power core, I believe, but it's also fun, and they have like a really like cute puppet, like a goblin. So it's fun. Yeah, I have to regrow my mustache properly at some point because recently it has been lacking. So I do believe soon I will try to do just that. So since I don't want to really paint an environment right now, what I will do is I will go and type Mongolian steppe because I do believe Mongolian steppes are similar in the color, and they are, for sure they are. And I will search for some sort of a photo like this, for example. Wait, copy, paste. It's basically the same thing, especially if I color grade it. So I will just go Ctrl U, bring some colors out because I want it to be a little bit more like happy, because Heroes of Might and Magic, cyan slightly warmer and darker, maybe not that much warmer, and yellow's a bit less saturated. And I have myself a background that I will base the entire thing upon, and in the end I will just paint it. Yep, I like Warhammer. Never played Total Wars from Warhammer. I wanted to, but I never did because I don't really enjoy strategy games that last like 2 months if you want to play them properly. I like RPGs. The last game from Warhammer I have been playing was Total War. No, Dawn of War, the first part, and it was cool. The RTS. It's really cool game. I wanted to go with the Vermintide. Yeah, I do believe this is how the game was called. But I just like forgot about it. Oh, no Vermintide for me. What I will do, I will basically duplicate these guys to new layer, to new doc, well, but with a line art. With what layer is a line art? Are you a line art? Yes. Duplicate a layer, new layer, okay. And I forgot about the background. And the reason why I'm duplicating it is because I want to trim it. So also if you are trimming with C, like if you press C to crop it, remember to turn off the delete cropped pixels, because if you turn it on and you will crop it, then you can basically say c'est la vie to your entire artwork. So just remember to keep it off. Then if you like accidentally crop it somewhere, or just you will forget about it, then it's still intact. It's a neat trick, not everyone knows about it, but it saved me ass several times. Now let's make this fella slightly smaller. So later, of course, I will adjust the environment and everything into scale, but more or less I want him to be like this. It just looked cool. I have no idea if it performed well or not, but it looked cool. I really wanted to go deeper with the Warhammer lore and everything. Like the deepest thing that I learned about Warhammer after listening to Lorehammer podcast, I believe, was to discover that the orcs are mushrooms. This was like the moment for me. Like, what do you mean the orcs are mushrooms? But yeah, after that it was all cool. Okay, roll rendering. Let me grab the only reference. Boom. They say the great art is stealing. I'm not afraid of stealing. I do want the graininess on the skin of Ben Pollack, so you can see he's grainy and has like stuff like this. So I really like this quality of a skin to be on this fella. This layer is empty. I do want to have these legs, or maybe the entire body. Oh no, Ben Pollack is not natural at all. I know this is a joke, but he even says he is not natural. He like I actually really recommend his Instagram profile, PhD deadlift, peak human development. It's a really cool Instagram account, and he is just a cool person. Like I find him entertaining and I find him fun. And I lost my reference with the silver guy, silver man, and he is extremely fucking strong. Like if there is someone who actually is strong, it's him. He's like he is strong as hell. Like the things he can lift, crazy. And yeah. And I learned a lot from him. Hello, Coffee. Yeah, the wisdom is references. Nothing new. And if something is a little bit not too purple-ish, increase the saturation so it is a little bit more purple-ish. They look cool as friends. Hello. Actually, the scale is kind of accurate. This is like a scale. This guy will be as a human. So yeah. So for the thing, I will make a I will make Dunk One King Coffee. I guess this is coffee. Subscribing or following. I forgot to read. So the thing that is cool to do, I will be walking behind him, and that is really cool to do before painting skin and shit like this, is to make a layer, and I will sneeze. Oh shit, or maybe I won't. Is to make a layer with like a mask, so it will be like I want to sneeze. To make a mask with the skin with like a really vibrant color so you can see what you are doing. And then I will paint on the mask. Then I will also make a separate mask for her. I go over the bandages and the clothing because the clothing will be like a separate layer on top of the skin, because like you wear cloth on top of your skin. Actually, the stone will be under this layer, so I will trim it slightly in here. So yeah. Yeah, this row has a friend. Actually, this guy has a really similar like physique to an orc from the same castle, so I might keep the reference. Yeah, because the rock will be like a separate layer. But I'm doing it red because I can see what I am actually painting. Here I can go like this basically. And now I can do like a simple trick to, so if you press Ctrl and on a miniature it will select the layer, then you select the red layer, Ctrl Shift E to invert the selection. So if I will like do this and press delete, it just removes everything that is outside the selection. So now I have like a mask with like a body cut properly, so I don't have to like clip it down below. So it is a nice thing to do. Well, soon I will unclip it. Yeah, the red actually looks kind of nice. Also, painting red characters is also like a pain in the ass. Red weirds behave so weirdly in light. It is just odd. Yeah. Let me choose brighter color because I want to see it. And I'm not sure if the pants will be brown or green. They might be greenish, but I really don't like this green pants color, so I will try to avoid it. And since I'm doing a redesign, I would, as a designer, say A green color for pants is a shitty choice for a castle like this. It just don't fit natural. So yeah, I wanted to use a vibrant color, but I forgot about it, that I wanted to use a vibrant color, so forgive me. These are the pens. I will, yep, wrap it around him. And here I kind of wanted to like wrap it around his hands, mostly to increase a grip, because I can imagine at some point the rocks will be getting slippery, so the grip will be a bit better. Also, the hands are protected, even if you are a troll and you are throwing rocks for a living. You still kind of want your arms or your hands to be protected. So yeah, current layer. Add a bit of shapes in here and a bit more red in here. And this is a cool part of working with masks. You can adjust the shapes that you have. So yeah. Actually, let me turn the red into... Oh, the one color was like really bright. Yeah. Yeah, so basically what I want... Wait, I will see a really neat trick. So let me duplicate it. Let me increase the saturation completely. So as you can see, if I increase the saturation completely, it basically is red. So I might keep this red color, this red hue, maybe go with it slightly toward like orange. Orange seems nicer than red. And I will continue soon why I did that. This is a shadow layer. This is a cloth layer. Soon I will explain to you why I made him like orange. And also all the thing that is just like on him. For example, in here I just forgot to draw the stuff on his leg, but I will like still have it later. I will just paint it or whatever. So yeah. Sometimes I do, but mostly for some finishing touches. So if I want to really make a really subtle color grading, then I will do it. But it's not always the case. So let me select it, Ctrl Shift E, delete, mask outside you go. Now, should you go outside? No, I don't really need to make you go outside. Okay, and under the skin and under red. Stone. So a stone can be like warm gray. So I will just take red and take a gray and just use like a warm tone because it's warm around it. So it will be warm. So yeah, this is the thing. And okay, I will make this shit green because it looks awful. I want to like show you one cool trick. It will be like the olive type of this color is disgusting. Pants, leather. Yeah, I will actually remove this, so I will at the moment get rid of... It's hard to look at this, it's so bright. I will remove it. The shadow at the moment I don't really need. The only thing that I need is to add a blue hair, because the dude has some serious blue hair, so mine will also have blue hair. Also, this is a cool thing about working with old as concepts. No one nowadays will choose a color scheme like this. No one will choose like a purple skin, blue hair, green pants, because just no. It's like, it's not the happy 90s anymore. We are in the 20s. Yeah, Marge Simpson. Okay. Hello, Trollola. I don't know if I have the rights on. I surrender. Don't hurt me, please. I once got a right, but I do believe I turned off the alert box for it. Let me see. Properties. Yeah, I turned them off. On. Oh, I turned them on now. I have a really cool GIF for rates. That's a shame. I forgot to turn them on. Let me show you what I have for the rates. Yeah, they turn off by themselves. I don't know why. But I basically do have this. I'm not sure if you will be able to see it. Oh yeah, you will be able to see it. This is my icon for the rates. It's a peasant. So yeah, sorry, yeah, for this. Yeah, so basically these are like the basic colors, and why I want them ugly, like really like this, is I want to block the alpha channel on them. I want to choose this ugly as red color and choose a brush that I know has a nice texture to it. Let me make a display capture for a second so you can see all the brushes. Then I go to color dynamics, hue, saturation, and brightness I leave like on 3. And now every time I paint, it basically, let me increase this one, it basically makes this type of a jitter. So the darker color I select in here, the more visible it will be. And I want this because I want some variation in the skin. And if I select it, for example, I will select something slightly more orange, it will give me a little bit more of a texture. So now also I can build a geometry with the brush strokes. So for example, if I will be using a brush that leaves like lines, so let's say white lines, I will be going like this over this geometry and like this over this geometry. So it will basically help me to build the shapes that I do have in here. It will be a bit more clear to see what is actually going on. Yeah, I'm not ignoring anyone. I want to explain something like this. And I am still relatively new to all this streaming and everything, so I don't really know how should I behave when someone is like writing me. So I have not a single clue. Kara, who are you? But thanks. I am thankful for the raid. So yeah, feel free to drop a link or whatever, or however it works in here. So yeah, and this way, as you can see, it looks nice. And it gives me a lot of natural noise occurring, because stuff in real life have a lot of noise in them. And this is a nice base for something like this. So now it looks a bit better. For the leather, I do exactly the same thing. I select the green color, the green hue. I might go with a darker one. Build up the things. I would say a bit more color variation, because with noise, there is this, like, this is even the way how you perceive colors on the screen. Like the LED screens are, or basically the screens are made out of like red, green, and blue dots, and together, like if they all shine at the same time, they make white. So in the noise, this is the same thing. If you see like a lot of like jitter in the noise from the back, it will create some patches of color and it will just look more interesting. Because for example, the character in here will have a little bit more like reddish peck. This green will not be like really uniform. So I can go to like white, to like yellowish color. And it will basically increase the variation in a painting. It will simply just look slightly more realistic, because in real life nothing is really like uniform. So yeah, this is a thing. And I have done this because now I can create a new layer and join it and skin, name it a skin, and I don't need to make a display capture. It can go back to Photoshop. And now I can select like this purple hue. I'm trying to like capture it from a place that is not like really well lit. So like this area, it's not like in a direct highlight, it's not in a shadow, it's like in a middle tone. And now I can choose, for example, a different brush to get a texture, to get a nice texture, also add color variations to it, and I can paint over it. And by painting over it, as you can see, some places the red will actually like shine through the color scheme. So it will increase the general colorfulness of our fella. So he will be generally a little bit more colorful. And since like the color in this guy, when I like really increase the saturation, was like reddish, I can imagine the red color will be like proper for this guy to like happen in here. And again, with the brush strokes, I'm trying to wrap it around the geometry, so even on this level the geometry will be slightly easier to read, because we do have a little bit more information for our brains to understand what is going on in here. Because like you can really, your brain is really good at seeing patterns that you are not even aware of. So seeing like textures and brush strokes wrap around stuff, it will make it much easier for your brain to understand what is going on. And again, I can like create a new layer, choose a color that is this. It's kind of funny because this purple-ish, it's not like purple from here, but it's basically like an orange hue. Something that is slightly warmer can be on a nose, because like the nose, more blood and everything. The lips, for example, I can imagine they to be a little bit more blue-ish. Maybe this blue hue. So he will have a little bit more like bluish areas. Yeah, and the areas where there's like a less blood, so closer to the bones and everything, they can be a little bit more bluish. I will use the ones that I have. As soon I will show you how I will do it, because it's basically will do a lot of magic soon. It will give me like a really nice and a quick base to paint everything. Okay, I will go a little bit more with like a cyan colors. So like areas like armpits. I just want to increase the general feeling of colors. I might duplicate this layer so it will be slightly more opaque, so less red will shine through this character, as you can see. And I want the eye sockets definitely to be darker. So naturally the color of the eye socket will be just darker, and like nose and everything. And the gums, the teeth color I can grab from this guy, so just like recolor the teeth, and the gums can be like this dead red. type of a color, maybe slightly brighter. Same for tongue. Tongue will also be quite dark. And the ears, they can be a little bit more pinkish with some darker coloration. So what I'm doing now is basically I'm painting a pass with like a colors, like a color pass. So it's like a flat color. It's just a texture. So on here I should paint all the textures that I want. So for example, I can use a brush to paint like a noise texture, this grainy stuff, take warp, just adjust it to the silhouette. So yeah. In here is like a place to just make a nice texture. And the same thing will happen with the trousers. So with the trousers I will choose a brown color type of a thing. Like a brown. Color dynamics. And I will just paint it brown. So this way there's a bit of this ugly ass brown, ugly ass like green going through. Like maybe they just like, I don't know, use some sort of a weird material to use it. I kind of wonder if I want those to be white. Nah, I want everything to be like leather. It just feels a little bit more natural. Maybe later I will add some schools and stuff like this. But yeah, but for the eyes... Wait, the original has what color of an eyes? Black eyes. Okay. I will see if my fella should have like black eyes or white eyes or what. White looks kinda okay. Black looks also kinda okay. We could have like the puppy eyes type of a things. So like a really huge pupils. And those does feel kinda okay. For him, for now, let's just give him like gray eyes. Yeah, and with the rock, it's the same story basically reapplied. So in here, I will just do it in a lazy manner. So I will just color pick stuff and just add noise to it, and boom, we have a rock. So I will connect it. I can like connect everything, and this is like my flat colors. Oh, and the hair. I forgot about the hair. Yeah, the hair basically can stay like this. Or maybe I will add some like white strands in them here and there, but not much, and make them slightly darker on the edges. Just generally make them darker. Hair. Let's play with the saturation. I will desaturate them slightly. It actually makes kind of sense. Like now when I think about it, this guy, as far as I remember, as I said, he has a disease where he keeps the silver in his organism. So if you are a troll and you like rocks, obviously, and you eat a lot of rocks, most likely you eat a lot of silver too. You are purple. It does make some sense, I would say. So now this everything is like one layer. Without line art, it looks okay-ish, but it's still a bit harder to see the fuck is going on. I can connect, like I can clip the line art to a painting. You can see then a lot of like shit like this pops out, that the outline is not like really perfect. So I could like, and I should most likely spend time now like cleaning it up a bit, just to have like a sharp outline. So after doing this, I will show you how I will use the light and shadow stuff, and for today I will just wrap it up. Also, for anyone who is new in here, there is a Discord server if you want to post like artworks and interact with some folks and everything. I'm not extremely active in there, but sometimes I am a bit more active in there. So the link is on YouTube, I believe, in the description down below. So yeah. And generally speaking, using this method, like where you basically just paint like a computer, like a rendering engine, will make everything like much easier, because let me turn this off for a moment, because you will just have like a render passes, and if you have like a solid render passes, if you have like everything prepared, then it's all the matter of the combining everything. And if you combine everything, then you will just see the artwork will almost do, like it will finish itself. And soon I will prove it to you that it's a really fast thing to happen. But first I need to clear out the outline. So it's just fixing the holes here and there. You can see in this area there are surprisingly a lot of holes. And it's really hard to see them. You won't always be able to spot them if you are painting, because of like many reasons. We'll just like forget there's a hole somewhere. You'll finish a painting, you'll move it to like a new background, and you will be like, what? Why is there like a hole? Or the entire thing is like transparent. It's also a good thing to have like a really solid underpainting, like a solid shape, because then you can like move it everywhere. You can like move it from layer to layer, you can place stuff underneath it. It will just make your life generally easier. So if there is anything that I will highly suggest to you, is to keep the main shapes sharp. It just makes editing everything tons faster later. And in here, clipping the line art, as you can see, was really helpful. Whoops. We'll upload this to YouTube, right? I need to watch the entire. Yeah, basically everything is on YouTube because I am live streaming here and there. So after finishing the stream, it basically is on YouTube after a while, pretty much, basically instantly. So in this area, so everything is in there. I also have like other live streams, especially with like the Black Knight, where I basically do the same thing, but in a more darker like vibe. I rarely paint stuff in the broad daylight, and this is like one of the things that I really wanted to get better at. This is why I also chose this city, not the dark city. So now, are this my shadows? Yes. And these are my values. So the values I don't need anymore. I need my shadows. So what I will do now, as you can see, the shadows are tad ugly. They are not like really perfect, but they are also not colored properly. So the long story short, the shadows are colored like they capture a color of the biggest light source that you have. So in here, the biggest light source is not a sun, it's the entire sky dome. So like the entire sky is basically bright blue. So the entire shadow will be bright blue. So I will select this like darkest blue color that I have in here. Maybe I will just like increase it. I will log the alpha channel on this guy here, and I will paint everything blue. And it does look like shit right now, but if I go to press it to multiply, it will basically create a shadow that is a little bit more physically correct. So the shadow now is colored blue. If I am not happy with the shade of it, I can always increase the saturation. I can decrease the lightness. And this way I can like adjust it the way I feel looks the most natural. If I am absolutely not sure how the shadows will be colored, I can always go back to my reference and see like what is the color of the shadows in here. So I can see, for example, this blue, as you can see, the bright blue in a light in the shadow goes slightly up, so it moves slightly towards the blue, but the change is not huge. The horse, I do believe the vast, like the shadow is really like reflecting a lot of colors from the below, so the shadow will be slightly bluish, but it will also grab a lot of like this yellow hue, this golden hue from the below, so it will just be like warmer. So also, as you can see in here, a really nice reflected light, most likely from the leg and from the ground. So I might actually take this guy. And also the thing is, on this guy the light is a little bit more from the side. In my case the light is a little bit more from the front. So I need to keep this in mind, that this reference is like not perfect. But also on the multiply, what I can do is I can select this color. Turns out I chose like a reddish type of a color, so I will try to change the hue again to, oh no, all layers, current layer. So the color is like bluish, and I could make a layer with painting the ambient occlusion, or I could just simply select a darker blue and more saturated blue, and I can just go pure ref. No, I tried to, but I just don't like it. There is something in it that I just don't enjoy. I don't know why, I just don't like it. But I can choose like a darker color, more saturated blue, and in the areas that, oh, the opacity is like, I forgot that I lowered the opacity. So yeah, the shadow will be slightly stronger if I increase the opacity. So I need to like bring it up a bit to make it brighter. So remember, have a brighter thing, opacity 100%, and then if you want an area to be darker, then just like paint it to be darker. And now I can just paint the ambient occlusion. I could do it, maybe I should do it. I have a less eyeliner with another layer. I could like totally, but I don't know if I want to. And also this method that I'm using right now is basically the method that Sam Smith is teaching in his tutorial on Domestika. So if you go to like Light and Shadow Domestika, Sam Smith, it's a really cool tutorial. I was talking about it in several different videos. So between fingers, darker. Geometry closer, in here, darker. This closer to everything, darker. Trousers in here, darker. Fingers to each other, toes to each other, darker. Here, darker, darker. Everything darker. Here, darker, darker. As you can see, it starts to look a little bit more 3D-ish. But yeah, I prefer to just throw everything into the Photoshop. It's just like easier for me to have like 100 layers to navigate through all them. This is the way I prefer it. So yeah, this is how it looks like right now with the shadows. And the cool thing is I can still adjust everything. So if I want to make everything like brighter, like zero problems with it. And also in here, this is like a huge area for ambient occlusion shadow type of a thing to happen. So yeah. And now the cool thing that he does is to actually also take in consideration the light from the body. So, but I need to add light to it. So let me rename the layer. Shadow, let me save it. Line art. Always remember to name your stuff. And now I can make like a new layer, and line art.add is okay. So basically it's a broad day. As you can see, the light is quite strong. So I will basically choose all colors. I will basically choose a bright yellowish type of a color, like this type of a color, maybe even a bit more like, oh, okay, normal, maybe a little bit more like this, because the sun is yellow. Like, I mean, we perceive it as yellow, but I want the light to feel warm, even though I don't know if it's even warm here. It does not look like it's really warm, but it might be. I don't know. I have no idea what weather is in Mongolian steppes, but I just want the light source to be like warm. So I will just drop it. And as far as I remember, it's better to use a darker color, because linear.add have a tendency to be like really bright really quickly. So using something like this will basically give me white. So yeah, this was a good call to use a current layer and to use this like darker version of this color. Maybe this one even is a little bit too dark, too bright. Maybe not. Something like this. Yeah, let's try it. And now I can try to paint with like light over it. What I could do to make it like easy is to paint over everything. So this is like a troll in light. Now, as you can see, it makes a bit more sense. And a lazy way to do it, and this is also a cool way to do it, let me go to display capture, is to double click on this one to open layer styles and to choose blend if underlying layer is darker. So it ignores everything that is darker, and if I have the shadows already painted, it will ignore the shadows. And if I press Alt and use a slider, then I can do something like this. And I can adjust the entire thing however the hell I want. And yeah, and if I turn off the line art, it does look kinda like wonky. It does look kinda like crap. But if we compare, just out of a sheer curiosity, this hue is like brownish. This hue in here also is like red, kinda like the skin color, and the shadows are going into like deeper red. So since this guy is in a little bit different light scenario, I would say this is like relatively close. So now I can also wiggle with the sliders to see if I prefer the light source to be slightly like stronger, to be like paler. I kind of prefer it to be slightly like desaturated, so not to be like as yellow, because I used a really heavily saturated color. And I do believe like making it tad brighter is looking okay-ish. If you are not sure, look from a distance. Let me turn off this fella. Usually looking at this type of a thing from a distance is much more informative, because you can actually see what you are going for. And this, no, slightly more color, brighter. No, I don't want him to be blue, white, I mean. Yep, like this. Maybe the base should be a little bit more colorful. You can see what happens if I go to this full mode. I want the reds, because he's basically like reddish. Reds to be slightly stronger. The blues, I don't want to be really stronger. Magentas, basically nothing is like really magenta in here. Cyans, no. Yellows, yeah, I want them to be more saturated and darker. like the cloth, so you can see a really easy and a quick change in value. Red's, yeah, red slightly warmer, maybe a different hue slightly. So if I don't want to like use to affect the leather layer, I will just select the skin, or I could keep all the layers with the skin, and I will just mask it quicker. But now I can go Ctrl U and increase the saturation and change, well, reds, and change the color slightly, so this guy will be like a little bit more purplish, but I kind of like this hue. Like he is a bit purple here and there. I can always like paint him more blue if I chose to. Maybe even straight up purple-ish. Kinda, yeah, but you can see that in here, for example, the skin just feels like it's rough. It kind of feels like a sandpaper in look. It's not like soft, and it's not like squishy. So for example, in this reference, I would say this one is a little bit more like, of course it's shredded, but it has this like bump texture quality to it. It's like grainy. I don't know how to say it. Like this dude looks not grainy, he looks like soft. This dude just looks like he's made out of granite or something like this. So yeah, the light is in here, and now what I can do, what I learned, is you can choose this color and you can just paint the shadow with it. So from all the layers I choose like basically this is my new light source, so the shadow is affected by this light source because the light is reflecting to it. So all the light in here, like all the shadows in here, are reflecting the warm colors, and some areas will reflect more of this color, some will reflect less. So for example, the tits in here will reflect a lot of this color because they are close to like a really strong bounced light from the abdominal area. So of course they will be a bit brighter. This hand will reflect a bit more light from the stone because the stone is bright. This hand will reflect some light from the ground. I mean, not from the ground, but from the knee. This also will reflect some, this bicep in here will reflect some watching fuckload of YouTube videos and watching tutorials and just learning stuff and asking friends that are much more skilled than I am for some tips, bothering people to answer me questions. It's like observation is a huge part, but to be honest, the technique that I use is purely learned from other people. The let's say theory of it is a mix of like everything, like learning from people and just observing. And at some point you just go to the fact that something has like a basic color, the light has a color that affects the basic color. The shadow has a color of like a light source, and there's a bounce light that is colored with the things that are around. So this color basically bounces off the ground and it colors the leg from below because it just bounces off. And how much, I don't know how colorful the shadow like should be. Like, I mean, how much should I reflect? I have not a slightest clue how much I should reflect, but in this case I just go with the gut. So if it looks okay for me, it is most likely okay. If it does not look okay for me, it is not okay. If I don't know if it's okay, I will just try to make it look okay. So everything in here will basically capture the warm light, and even the area in the light will also be affected slightly with the reflected light. And the fingers below will be affected with the reflected light, the belt in here, or maybe even the entire character slightly, but just slightly. So, I mean, there is a lot of logic to it, but it's much simpler than... It's just simpler. So I can go like that. Of course, I could make like the new layer and just go with stuff. So like new layer, adjustment layer, and stuff like this. Add like, I don't know, a soft light, hard light. Hard light looks okay. Decrease fill. It is also fine. Like, as long as it works, it's fine. So yeah, I would say this is like the starting base. Webs. For the thing, and also because I want the highlights to be somewhere in here, I will go back to this light. I will choose the not all layers but current layer. I will choose this, choose a brighter color just because I can. Go here and I will just select myself where I expect the highlights to occur, so the brightest areas. Now I can add based on what I have observed. I can duplicate it actually too and hide it, so I always keep like the native version. And it's always a good idea before you do something drastic as I do now, just keep the copy. So this area will be much brighter because yeah, this teeth will be brighter, this bicep area will be brighter, this will be brighter, because all the surfaces are like facing the light source. So it all goes like this. And if I am not sure, I zoom out, and if something looks off, I will rework it. And then I can also add this light in the shadows. I will like flip things horizontally. In here it looks, well, it looks a bit odd, so I will choose the darker color again and repaint it, brighter color again. This is why selecting by current layer is extremely cool thing to do, because I can like select all the versions. I absolutely don't feel this hand is properly, but later when I will just clap this all down, I'll just adjust it or maybe paint it from scratch, because I do have enough informations for me, I do believe. This knee, this knee, this knee, this legs, this shit here and there. Yeah, and I would say it might not look like a perfect thing, but it's definitely not far away from what I want to achieve. And of course now I can just like go ballistic with like everything that I do. I can go back to the shadows, I can refine some shadows here and there, so I can like add stuff here, there. This is why keeping all the main layers with light and shadow as a separate is really important, because now, as you can see, you can just basically go and fix stuff without many problems whatsoever. I absolutely don't like this hand. I do believe it should go more like, not like this, but more like this. It should be more from the side. But the shadows deeper here and there. Bicep casting shadow. The rock casting definitely more defined shadow. And here the linear.add light from the ground, all layers from the ground could be brighter, and generally on this guy it could be brighter, maybe like a soft light over all everything, soft brush, slight touch, and I will see. On the miniature it looks kind of fine. It might be a case that it died somehow. It should not, but yeah, but I will just like finish it anyway. So yeah, if the end is frozen, it might be the case of the OBS or whatever. So, but yeah, but this is like the end. I have no idea if it will unfreeze. Let me just switch it. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, this is all, and for today I will try to stream on Wednesday, so like in 2 days, to continue on this fella. So thanks for watching, and subscribe, like, comment on the YouTube video. It's important. This is actually the most important thing. If you can just go there and comment, like, whatever. And yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good day, and see ya to the next time. Bye.